welcome to my channel from Books and Ash. My name is Ashley and this is a book haul. Okay, so this is actually my first YouTube video ever. I've been wanting to do this for so long and I finally decided to just not be scared and do it. I mean, I am terrified, but I'm just doing it. And so what I wanted to start with was a book haul because I love to watch these videos and I've accumulated quite a bit for me lately. Some of these are monthly subscription books. Some of these were gifted to me because of things like Mother's Day, things that I've just picked up myself. First one is The Bright and the Pale by Jessica Rubinkowski. This is the Fairy Loot edition, which looks really, really pretty. This is the inside, and Fairy Loot books always come signed. And then one thing that I really like about this one is, of course, the art underneath the dust jacket, along with the fact that it has really pretty sprayed edges. You can't really tell, but they are like glittery. It's this really light blue. So I'm excited about this one. I have not read it yet. It's from a couple months ago. And this is about a girl who believes either her brother or her best friend has died. But like a year later, she finds out that he's actually alive. So it's about her trying to find him. I believe there's a bit of romance in here and it's based on Russian folklore. I just really love how holographic that looks. This next one I actually have read, and this was last month's, so this is for April, and it's The Prison Healer. Everyone has been going crazy about this book. The original cover actually has blue instead of purple, but I really like this because I love the sprayed edges. And well, this is stenciled and the bottom and top are sprayed. So I think that those are really pretty. And this one has gorgeous work under the cover, which I'll start with that. Super, super pretty. But really my favorite part of this whole dang book is this cover. I think that this is gorgeous. I really love this detailing. Recently, Fairy Loot is doing it for all of them, so I really love that. I have read this book. I really like it. I didn't like it as much as what I've seen from other people. Like, people are raving about this book. For me, it was more average, probably like a 3.5. So on Goodreads, it'll probably end up being a 4. I did really enjoy it. It was really good, but it's not like super high up for me. But a lot of people have been really loving it, and I cannot wait for the next one. I feel like the next one would probably be a book that's like a 4 or a 5 for me. So I really enjoyed that. The next 3 books are actually from Book of the Month. You get hardcover books for $14.99 a month, and then you can do add-ons for only $9.99. So I was really excited about that. I started in December when they were doing a deal where you only paid $5 for your first book. And I was like, yeah. And I'm pretty sure it's always free shipping. So this is the book that I chose for, what month are we in? For May, and this is Ariadne. I love Greek mythology, so I was really excited for this book. And this is a Princess of Crete. So if you know the story Theseus and the Minotaur, this is basically Ariadne's story. I know a lot of people are saying that this is giving them Circe vibes by Madeline Miller. This is actually by Jennifer Saint, and it's her debut novel. So I'm really excited because I did love Circe, hoping that I love this one too. And I really think that this is a gorgeous cover. Next, I have No Exit by Taylor Adams. This book is like really expensive unless you want to buy the mass market paperback. I actually love mass markets, but I really didn't want that. I liked this cover because the cover for the mass market is different. And the fact that I could get this for only $9.99 from Book of the Month instead of paying like $30 to $40 on Amazon or anywhere else, I went that route because I love this cover. And this is basically about a girl, I think she's in college, is going on Christmas break, and she there's a huge storm, so she gets stuck at this, what am I saying? She's at a rest stop, and she notices in one of the other vehicles that there is a little kid like caged in the back. Basically, this is about her trying to free that kid and get away from the kidnapper in the middle of a storm. Apparently, this is like real intense. You won't be able to stop reading until you're done. So I'm excited about that. I have not read it yet. I don't know if I'll read this soon or save it more for like the fall or, you know, closer to winter, just because of the fact that it's a winter book. But we'll see. But apparently this is one where you'll just be like sucked in and you won't be able to stop. So I'm excited about that. And the last one that I have from Book of the Month is The Hunting Wives, which was actually February, one of March's picks, I think. I got No Exit as an add-on for that one, but this was my actual pick for that month. And this is a thriller about a woman who's new to town, and she joins this group called the Hunting Wives, and they go out in the woods by the lake and they shoot, and someone ends up going missing. All of the Hunting Wives are suspects, and so you're following around this main character who is trying to figure out what the heck happened to the girl that's missing, but she also like has an obsession with one of the other women that are part of the Hunting Wives. This was really good. I've already read it. It was an average read for me. I liked it. Wasn't a favorite, but it was still pretty good. Next, I have The Trouble with Hating You by Sajni Patel. Hopefully I'm saying that right. I know nothing about this book other than the fact that it's an enemies to lovers, and that's one of my favorite tropes. So I went ahead and picked this up. I got it for pretty cheap. And I love having books like this on hand when I need a break from like high fantasy, because that's my favorite. And so these, just for an easier, lighter read. Anything enemies to lovers is good to me. Next, I have Fortuna Sworn, which is this beautiful book by KJ Sutton. I have not read this yet. I cannot wait to read it. Fortuna is the last of her kind. I don't know if she's a fairy or what, but she's not human, and her brother went missing a couple years ago. And so this book is about her trying to find her brother. And there's this guy that she runs into that apparently can help her find him. And so this is an enemies to lovers, but it has like a lot of intense themes. I'm pretty sure this has a trigger warning section at the front for scenes or themes of sexual harassment, a toxic relationship, and slavery. So this is apparently like a really intense book. This is self-published, and I think that these books are just beautiful. There's like 2 others that are out, and I think the 4th one is not out yet, but I'm excited to read this first one and get into those because they all look beautiful and the story sounds really good. Next, I have Shipped by Angie Hockman, and this is another like easy read. This is supposed to be enemies to lovers as well, and compared to The Hating Game by Sally Thorne and The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. So if you're fans of those, this is apparently supposed to be great. I did read both of those and absolutely love them. If you couldn't tell, I'm definitely nervous to be doing my first video, because anytime I'm nervous or angry or anything like that, I get hives, and here we are. And there's not gonna be anything that I can do about that for this video, so that's great. The next book I have is Rhapsodic by Laura Thalassa. Yeah, and this is the first book in the Bargainer series. This is about a girl, I can't remember her name, Callie, who makes deals with the Bargainer, and every time she makes that deal, she gets a black bead going up her wrist. And usually the Bargainer, soon after making this deal, will come to collect because you have to do something for him in return. But for whatever reason, he has not come back to Callie. Is it Callie? Oh my God. This is gonna be a shit show. He has not come back to Callie, and it's been like 7 years or so, and he finally does, and she has a lot of bargains that she's made with him since then. So it's basically about what happens when he finally comes to collect. And this is a fantasy romance. There are multiple books out in the series, but I do not like to get all the books before reading the first one to know if I like it. Sometimes, depending on the author, I will, but most of the time I try not to do that. So I have a lot of firsts for series in this stack because I love series. Okay, next I got the hardcover edition of Kingdom of Ash by Sarah J. Maas. I have the paperback editions of those books, but now I also want the hardcover editions because I bought the Nerdy Ink dust jackets, and Sarah J. Maas is my favorite author. I know that that's controversial. A lot of people love her, a lot of people hate her, but I freaking love her, and it is what it is. So I want to have all the hardcover editions. I found Kingdom of Ash for really cheap, so I already have it. This is one of my favorite series ever. So just basic Kingdom of Ash. If you haven't read those books, you need to read them. Next, I have the first Sailor Moon manga. I have never read any manga, but growing up, I loved Sailor Moon. So I figured the best way to try manga would be to start with Sailor Moon just to kind of get into it. I know that that probably makes me sound super basic, but I did love watching it growing up. I have started this, but there are so many books that I want to read that I kind of just put it down, but I need to get through it because it would only take a couple hours. Next, I have one of the books I was most excited for. I cannot believe that I read the first 2 earlier this year, and then had to actually wait for the third one. And this is The Crown of Gilded Bones. I love the From Blood and Ash series so much. I read them this year. First two, From Blood and Ash and A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire. How that happened really was I got the first one for my birthday. I read that, finished it at like 3 a.m. Instantly went on Amazon, bought the second one, read that, and then was like, oh shit, the third one's not even out yet. Pre-ordered it, and as soon as it came in, I devoured it. I freaking love this series. I also have the Fairy Loot special editions coming. I wish I would have gotten the bookish box versions. And honestly, I love the series so much I should have got the Illumicrate as well, but I digress. Anyway, so I'm so excited for those to come in. I'm hoping to do a video all about the Fairy Loot editions. I know a lot of people love this series, but by the time they got to the third one, there's just so much info dumping with like not a lot happening, but then it all happening really fast at the end. And I know that a lot of people really did not like that. But to be honest, I love this series so much that I didn't really care. Like, there is a lot of info dumping, that's for sure. And a lot of times it's being repeated and repeated. So I know people were getting annoyed with that, but this was just so freaking good. And every time she ends these books, you're like, oh my God, I need the next one. Oh, speaking of her, Jennifer L. Armentrout is the author of these books. I forgot to mention that. And I had read nothing by her until this year. And now I want to read literally everything that she has. I just started up my Kindle that I got. I have like the Generation 3 from 2012 and then never touched it again after a couple months. And so I just brought it back to life. And one of the first things that I put on it was the first book, the Dark Elements series. Oh my God, what is it called? White Hot Kiss, something like that. But I am obsessed with Jennifer L. Armentrout's writing. I love From Blood and Ash, which is where the name of my channel came from Books and Ash. It just made sense because I really love this series. And my name is Ashley, so I couldn't not do it. But I really, really love this. If you have not read these books, please read them. They're thick bad boys, but that shit is good. Next, I have my first Penelope Douglas book, which is Credence. A lot of people suggest reading in publication order. I mean, obviously for most authors, it's always going to be that way. But for whatever reason, I really wanted this one, which was her newest release at the time. And this is a reverse harem. I loved this book. I think I ended up giving it 4 stars just because towards the end, there were a couple things that I kind of wish happened differently, but I was still really satisfied with the end regardless. And so this is about a girl named Tiernan who basically raised herself. Her parents were rich and famous. And when her father gets cancer, they decide to commit suicide together. So she's 17, almost 18, live by herself, and gets a random call from her step uncle. So not her biological uncle. She didn't even know this man was living, but he called her and said, your parents left you to me. I live in Colorado in the mountains. You're almost 18, so if you don't even want to come, I'm not going to make you because I don't really care. But if you want to get away, I know what it's like living the lifestyle that you've lived. You can come live with me. Oh, and by the way, I have 2 teenage sons. So she goes and she lives with these 3 men in the mountains of Colorado. It's really, the smut in here is so good. This is definitely, I guess, in the dark romance category. So if you're not into that, you're not into reverse harems, I would not read this book. Like, to a lot of big YouTubers, controversial, but on the other side, a lot of big YouTubers really love this book. And I really, really liked it. Every once in a while, you just need a dark romance, you know? And this was it. I loved it. Next, I have The Bridge Kingdom by Danielle L. Jensen. This is huge all over BookTube from what I can see right now. This is another enemies to lovers. This is about Lara, who has been trained her whole life on how to be a spy. And I guess she also learns how to kill as well. I wouldn't say that she's like considered an assassin, but maybe, I don't really know. I just started this book. It's actually my current read. But her father raised her to be a spy, to infiltrate when she's old enough to marry the king of their enemy territory. Enemy city, what is it called? I don't even know. But basically, she is supposed to marry another king and spy. That way her father is able to take over because he says that, you know, they're evil people. When she gets there, she might realize that everything's not like it seems. So I'm really excited about this. This is only a duology. There is a second one called The Traitor Queen, but I wanted to see how I liked this one first, which I'm sure I'll really like it since it's so popular. One thing I will say about this is I've just started it, and this book does not play. Things are happening right off the bat, which, you know, I really liked that, because sometimes it just takes forever to get into a book. But this shit's happening right from the beginning, and it's good so far from what I've read. I'm only like on page 40 or something like that. And I mean, first 2 chapters, there was stuff already happening. So this is The Bridge Kingdom. Really like that. And then I have Bunny. I don't really know too much about this book. I know this was all the rage on YouTube for a while. This one and the next one are books that you either love them or hate them, and they're both kind of strange. So this first one is Bunny, and it's about a college girl who knows of this like clique of girls. I don't know if they're a sorority or not, who refers to themselves as the Bunnies. And typically this is the kind of girls that she would never like, but they invite her to join them. And so basically this is about her becoming part of the Bunnies and seeing what that part of college is all about. Apparently this is weird, and I don't know. I want to see what it's like. It's by Mona Awad. Definitely you love it or hate it kind of situation, so we'll see what I think. I found it for pretty cheap, so I got that. And then the same thing goes for this next one, Catherine House. This is about a girl who goes off to a school, I guess it's high school, but she's there for all 4 years and never leaves. And it's called the Catherine House, and I really don't know much else about it other than the fact that she just has to stay there the whole time. Apparently a lot of drinking is involved in this book, but basically it's just you're there with her throughout that time. Another love it or hate it situation. I think a lot of people thought this was just too slow, not really anything happening, but a lot of people loved the weirdness in this book, so I'm excited about that. And I have My Dark Vanessa, and this definitely has trigger warnings because this is a story about a girl who is young and has a sexual relationship with one of her teachers. I don't know if this like starts in middle school or high school or what, but she's a teenager, and it's basically just about her relationship with this man, and then over the years how having that relationship affected her, what she's learned from it. Really hard hitting. Apparently this is really good. I have not read it yet, but I'm excited to get into this one. And then the last book I totally bought on a whim, and that is Realmbreaker by Victoria Aveyard. This is a new release. I have still not read the Red Queen series. I have the first book right there, and I need to read it, and I really want to read that before I read this one. But I was walking through Walmart, saw this for only $13, and it is a signed first edition. It has a beautiful map, but it is signed, so I went ahead and got it. So hopefully I like it. It's got like, it's like a group thing. There's a squire, an immortal, an assassin, an old sorceress, and a pirate's daughter. The heroes are gone, but the fight to save the world has only just begun. I think it's kind of one of those situations where like the heroes of the story failed, so now this group has to try and fix everything. I don't really know, but I am excited to read this. Literally only got it right now because it was a signed first edition, so but I'll get to this one eventually, and hopefully I really like it. But I haven't seen too many reviews on this yet, so hopefully this is really good because it's pretty thick. I mean, it's a pretty big book. We'll see. But that is my first book haul. I don't even know how many books that this was. Thank you for watching. Hopefully that wasn't a total disaster and I didn't sound crazy. Hopefully when I go to edit this, I'm not like, oh my God, what a waste of time. Could happen. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you'd like to subscribe, I have a lot more videos coming, and I'll see you next time.